Welcome to the UG7 tutorials. This video is meant to alleviate some of the problems we encounter in addressing problems under utility function. Okay, so this is a topic that question always comes from it every year, and people keep having problems. So this is just meant to help you as we draw in here to pick our exams. All right. So when you talk of utility function, the first thing that should come to your mind is satisfaction. Where are you getting this satisfaction from? Okay, you are getting it from a couple of commodities that you consume. Okay, so here you are consuming good X and Y, and you are deriving your satisfaction from good X and Y. Alright, so here others are saying you can measure this satisfaction you will derive from consuming your wache, your fufu, your fried rice. Others are saying we cannot measure it. Alright, so those who are saying we can measure, they are the cardinalists, and those who are saying we cannot measure, they are the ordinalist approach. So you know that in critical thinking and practical reasoning, whenever you make a claim, you should come up with reasons to prove that. So with the cardinalists coming up with reasons to prove how to measure satisfaction, they came out with the utility concept, where we have total utility, average utility, and so on. That is not the focus for this video. The focus here is on how to attempt questions under utility function, and that is under the ordinalist approach. So let's quickly look at the ordinalist approach. So with the ordinalist, what they are saying is that we can only say that if two or more commodities are placed before you or me, we can only say that I prefer one to the other. So if I have good F, A, B, and C, I can only say I prefer A over B and B over C, but we cannot measure satisfaction from these two commodities. And on the quest of proving this claim they are making, they also came out with the budget line and the indifference curve. So let's quickly look at what the budget line and the indifference curve is about. So now to the budget line. So the budget line is simply a locus of point that shows combinations of goods that a consumer can afford with his given level of income. So you can imagine going to night market with 20 Ghana cedis in your pocket. You can only operate within that your 20 Ghana cedis. You cannot go above. So you have a choice to make. So let's say I go to the market and I have good X and I have good Y, and they all have their respective prices. And let's say my level of income is say 500 Ghana cedis. So it's either I spend all this my 500 Ghana cedis on good X, of which I will have nothing left to spend on good Y, or spend all this my 500 Ghana cedis on good Y, of which I will have nothing left to spend on good X. Or I make my third choice of maybe spending 300 Ghana cedis on good X and 200 Ghana cedis on good Y. So what happened is that if I have my budget line like this, that is it. I can have good X here and have good Y here. This is my budget line. And with my level of income, 500, I can only operate here or on the line. But to go beyond this, I cannot go beyond that line. Unless there's an increase in your income, it's when you can move to this point. Is that fine? Alright. So now the next thing that is very important that we must all know is that here you have your income that you are spending it on what? A couple of goods. That's good X and Y. So when you are asked to state your budget constraint, your income equals those goods with their respective prices. So I can have my income equals price of X, price of SX plus price of Y. As simple as that. Your income equals these two goods, X and Y, with their respective prices. And this is called the budget constraint. This is your budget constraint. Now, in a question where you are asked to state your budget constraint, you state your budget constraint based on the commodities. Here, what are the commodities? We have commodity X and Y, and that is why we have this as our budget constraint. But in cases where you are spending your income on, let's say, let's say good A and good B, your budget constraint is going to change. And you are going to have your income equals price of A plus what? Price of B. So please note, when you go to the exams and you are asked to state your budget constraint, it should be stated based on the questions, the commodity in the question, and not what you normally know as X and X, Y and Y. Alright. So that is all for budget line. You should know your budget constraint. Say, let me just repeat that again. Budget constraint, income equals price of X, price of Y. You should know this. Then the next thing you must also know is the slope of the budget line, and that is slope of the budget line, and that is negative dy over the x equals price of x over price of y. Here the only thing I would want you to know is this your budget constraint, how to state it, and the slope of the budget line. They are the only thing I want you to know. I can prove this, but there's no need. Okay, just know this and know that. So we are done with budget constraint. Now let's go to the indifference curve. So as we all know, indifference curve is just a locus of point that shows combinations of goods that yield same level of satisfaction to the consumer. So if I consume good 5 of good X and 5 of good Y, I'll be fine. If I consume 2 of good X and I consume 5 of good Y, I'll be fine. So now I am being indifferent of the one to go with, and that's what indifference curve is all about. Okay. So if I consume 10, you can say here is Y and here is X. If I consume 10 of Y and I consume 5 of X, I'll be fine. If I consume 5 of this and I consume 10 of that, I'll be fine. Okay, so at this point I am being indifferent of the one to go with, and that is what indifference curve is all about. The only thing you must also want to know is that here it has properties, and they are all in the slide. You can just refer to your slide. It being sloping negatively, converse to the origin. You know, higher ICs denotes higher satisfaction. They are all in the slide. You only have to know those things. Alright, so let us look quickly at something else. So here you have utility, which is your satisfaction. Where do you get this satisfaction from? You get it from a couple of goods you are consuming. So your satisfaction will be equal to those goods you are consuming, and that is U equals X and say Y. I am using X and Y because I know that is what is common to all of us. So my utility equals what? X and Y. X and Y are the goods I'm consuming, and I get my satisfaction from what? X and Y. As simple as that. The only thing you must also want to do is that you look at the extra satisfaction you derive from these two commodities. You put them together and you have your utility. So I will have utility equals the extra satisfaction I derive from X plus the extra satisfaction I derive from Y and Y. And that is all. Here too, the only thing I want you to know is this your function and how to maybe write it in this direction or this form. And that is all. Maybe you can get your satisfaction from maybe pizza and fried rice. Okay? I am a guy. I can get my utility or my satisfaction from maybe gobe and bamboo. Alright? So depending on where you get your satisfaction, you state your utility. As simple as that. So here too, I would want you to note this and note that. Alright? So now let's look at the formula for the indifference curve. So the formula for the indifference curve is simply negative dy all over the x equals marginal utility of x over marginal utility. Alright, so let's solve another example to see. I told you already that the structure of the question is still the same thing. Nothing changes. State your budget constraint, the quantity of x and y that the consumer will consume to be in equilibrium or attain a maximum satisfaction is still the same thing. From there, find your marginal rate of substitution. If price increases, what else will the consumer consume to maintain the level of satisfaction? It's still the same process. So let's solve another question, and the last but one. And from there, I entrust you, I beseech you to go and solve more questions. In fact, this is 25 marks, 25 good marks, and then if you cannot follow this video or follow the process here to be able to get your 25 mark in the exams, then I am sorry. So try to solve more examples. Okay, so let's look at that one too. So it says that debit utility function for bananas and apples is given by u, beta, and alpha equals 2 beta squared and alpha cube. So this is someone's utility function, as you can see. This is someone's utility function, and that's David's utility function. We saw one example which was Ahmed's utility function, and I told you that it could even be David's utility function. It could be Shadrach's utility function. In fact, the functions could be more. Okay, it could be Servant's utility function. We have more and more and more utility function. Okay, so we have this as David's utility function. Let's look at what the question says. The question says that where beta represents bananas and alpha represents apples. Okay, and we were told that price of beta and price of alpha and income are the price of bananas, price of apples, and consumer income respectively. Question I, write the budget constraint of the consumer. So as I said, if you look at this, banana and apple, we are using beta and alpha for them. So when I ask you to find or state the budget constraint, you state your budget constraint based on the commodities you are spending your money on. Here we have beta and alpha. So if you go to write price of x, x, plus price of y, y, this is wrong. This is wrong. And the mark for that is 2 marks. And you lose your 2 marks. Because here we are not dealing with x and y, we are dealing with alpha and beta. Note that. Alright, so I asked us to state the budget constraint. So here, my budget constraint will be my income equals price of B, beta, plus price of alpha, and this is my budget constraint. 2 marks. I have obtained that already. Let's look at II. II says that what combination of bananas and apples maximizes the consumer's utility, given that, so given that the income is equal to 100 Ghana cedis and price of B equals 8 Ghana cedis, and then price of alpha equals 10 Ghana cedis. Given that our income is this, okay, the consumer's income is this, price of beta is this, price of alpha is this. The question is asking us, how much quantity of alpha and beta will I consume, or will that consumer? Here it's this. Will he consume to attain a maximum satisfaction. So as I said, this question is still silent. So since the question is silent, to get the quantity of X and Y you will consume, here is alpha and beta to be precise. To get the quantity you will consume to attain maximum satisfaction, you first have to find the demand function for alpha and beta. It is when you get the demand function for alpha and beta that you can substitute to get the quantity of beta and alpha given to what would consume or combine to attain maximum or maximum satisfaction. And it's the same process as the first question we solved. So let's quickly dive in. So here, since we have our utility as U is equal to 2 beta squared alpha power 3, here to you find when there's a change in utility, that's a change in what? Beta equals, so you multiply and take, as I said. So here it is change in utility as a result of change in beta. So we maintain our A, our alpha. And so I'll multiply and take, and I'll have 4 beta and what? Alpha cubed. And I told you this here is the same as what? My marginal utility of what? Of B. 4 alpha. I hope you are following. Then I come to find change in utility as a result of change in what? In alpha. And now I will maintain my beta and multiply and take on what? Alpha. So I will have 6 beta squared, and I take 1 from this, and that will give me 2. And I told you this here is the same as my marginal utility of what? Of alpha, being 6 beta squared, A squared, alpha squared. Now that I've gotten these two, I go to look at when they are in equilibrium. The budget line, the indifference curve should be tangential to what? To the budget line. And that is marginal utility of what? Of beta, the marginal utility of alpha should be equal to price of beta over price of what? Of alpha. I know this, I know that, so I only substitute, and I'll get 4 beta alpha cube all over 6 beta squared alpha squared equals price of beta over price of A. What do we do? Here is 2, here is 1, they will cancel. So I'll be left with 1 here. Here is 2, here is 3, it will cancel. So I'll be left with 1 here. So I am now going to have my function as 4 beta. Okay. So I'm going to have 4 alpha over 6 beta, which is equal to price of beta over price of alpha. And here I still what? Cross multiply. So you can see clearly that the process we are going through is the same as the first example we saw. That's why I told you the structure is the same. So if you know how to solve for one, in fact you can solve for all. Okay? Alright. So when I cross multiply, I'll get, in fact I can still divide my figures. So 2 here will be 2, 2 here will be 3. So let me just clean that and write. So 2 here will give me 2, 2 here will give me 3. Okay, so when I cross multiply, I'll get 2A price of alpha, which is equal to 3 beta. I can change it to my beta small, or maybe I can still use the capital. And I'll have a price of what? Beta. Okay, I make beta or alpha the subject. So here making this and that the subject. I'll make this the subject first. Okay? And then I will have what? Divide through by 2 price of alpha, 2 price of alpha. This will cancel, this will cancel. And I have my first equation as alpha equals 3 beta price of what? Of beta all over 2 alpha. And I will name this as what? My equation 1.
So maybe name this as equation 1. Okay. Now I go and also make beta the subject from this same equation. Okay. So still 2 alpha price of alpha equals 3 beta price of beta. I want to make this beta the subject. Here I am using small letters for alpha and beta. It's still the same thing. Okay, you can still use your big alpha. It's still the same thing. Then here I divide 2 by 3 price of beta. Divide 2 by 3 price of beta. This will cancel. This will cancel. And now I have my beta equals 2a price of alpha all over 3 price of beta as my equation 2. Now I go back to my my budget constraint to substitute these two equations to get the demand function. So this question is just the same, just same to the first example we saw. There's nothing, there's no change. The structure is always the same. Okay, so I think I can just clean this here. Okay, and I can clean these two for now. And I come back and substitute. So I know that my income is equal to price of beta as price of alpha. So I can substitute any of them. This is my equation 1, this is my equation 2. I can substitute any of them. So I can substitute 1 first. So if I have to substitute 1, I would have my income equals price of, so wherever I see alpha, I put this whole in there. Wherever I see alpha, I'll substitute everything here into my budget constraint. So let's go. Then I have beta plus what? Price of what? Alpha. I have my alpha here and this. So I open the big bracket and put 3 beta price of beta all over 2 price of alpha. I close it. What's happening here is that we have price of what? Alpha, price of alpha. They will cancel. So I have my income equals what? Price of beta plus 3 beta price of what? Beta all over 2. I multiply 2 by 2. And then I'll have 2 income equals 2 beta. I'll move this beta to come and multiply this and I'll get 2 beta price of B plus here if you multiply it will cancel. So since it's cancelling there's nothing left. Okay. What is left is that we have 3 beta price of what? Beta. Now you might be confused that we have small letter beta here and we have what? Capital letter beta here. It's the same thing. So I can still maybe change this to have maybe this beta, or maybe I maintain my capital beta. Here they are the same. So I have income equals what? 5 beta price of beta. Okay, I want to find the demand function for beta. So what do? I divide 2 by what? 5 price of beta, 5 price of beta. This will cancel, and we have our beta here as equal to 2 income all over 5 price of B. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our demand function for beta. Now, we were given the price, we were given the income. So to find the quantity of commodity that David would consume for beta, what do? We only substitute. Okay, we only substitute our price and what? So the price was, our income was 200, and then price of B, price of A was also given at. So price of B is 8, and then price of A is 10. And I think this is 100. Sorry, this is 100.
That's our income. So to find the quantity of beta we are consuming, we only come to substitute. So here I have my income as 100 all over 5. What's the price of B? 8. Bracket will be 8. And now David is going to consume, let's look at that quickly. David is going to consume 5 commodities of what? Of beta, which is the banana. I hope this is very simple and this is very good. Alright, so now we have to also go and substitute. First we substituted alpha and we got the demand function for beta. We are not done. We have to go and substitute our beta to also find the demand function for alpha, so that we can also get the quantity of what? Of alpha, which is apples, that David will be consuming. So let's just, I think I can wide this. I can bring these two very quick. Okay. So equation 2, we are also going to substitute equation 2 into that. So I would have my income again equals price of beta plus price of alpha. Okay, so I'm substituting equation 2, which is what? Beta. So wherever I see beta, I put this whole thing there. Income equals price of beta, bracket open. I have 2 alpha, price of alpha, all over 3 price of what? Beta. I close my bracket, plus price of A. Here is beta. Price of beta to cancel. So I have my income equals 2 alpha, price of alpha, all over 3, plus 2 alpha, plus price of alpha. I multiply 2 by 3, and I have 3 I equals, it will cancel. So I have 2 alpha, price of alpha. 3 multiplying this, and I'll get 3 alpha, price of alpha. They are the same. So I'll get 3 income equals 5 alpha, price of what? Alpha. If you want, you can change this into a big alpha. You will not be penalized, okay? And here I want to find the demand function for this alpha. So what do? I divide through by 5 of price of alpha, 5 price of alpha. This will cancel, and then I have my alpha, demand function for alpha as what? 3 income over 5 price of what? Alpha. And here to determine the quantity of alpha David will be consuming. So what do? We have our income, we have our price. We only substitute. The price is there, income is there, we only substitute to get the quantity David will be consuming for apples or alpha. So let's do that quickly. We have 3, our income is 100 Ghana cedis, all over 5. Our price of A is what? Is 10. And here, David will be consuming, let me just look at that very quick from here. David will be consuming 6. Can you see that? So David will be consuming 6 apples and what? 5 bananas to maintain his maximum satisfaction. And you must note that if you don't know how to deduce the demand function for them, you cannot find the level at which you can maximize satisfaction from consuming these 2 commodities. And the process is still the same. As I said, there could be a question which says that find the demand function for what? For these 2 commodities. That is another aspect of the question. And they can also be silent, that find the level at which they can maximize satisfaction. Here the question is silent, so you must go through all this process. Alright, so that is all for question I. Let's go to question I. So question I. So let's look at the question I says that
Calculate the marginal rate of substitution between banana and apple at equilibrium and interpret your answer. So you can see that the structure, as I've always been saying, repeating and repeating and repeating. The question, the structure is still the same. The first one was the same as this we are doing, calculating the marginal rate of substitution. So since you know the formula for calculating marginal rate of substitution, just put your formula down and fix in your figures. And that is all. Okay, so question marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution between beta and alpha. I told you can use marginal utility of alpha and marginal utility of beta. You can use that formula. You are free to go. Or you use price of beta over price of alpha. You are still on the same track. You are free to go. Okay, so let's put that. So I'll have price of beta over price of what? Of alpha. If you go, we have our price of alpha as 10, and then we have our price of what? Sorry. We have our price of beta as 8, okay, and we have our price of alpha as 10. Okay, so here we know we can simplify. Okay, we can simplify these two. And let me just refer this because of our time. So to simplify this, we can 2 can go here as 4, 2 can go here as 5, and that is your marginal rate of substitution. If you like, you can convert it into decimals. You will not be penalized. Okay. If I want, I can leave it this way. You will not be penalized. But the question says that we should also interpret our answer, and it's the same as the interpretation I gave you. So the consumer is willing to give up 4/5 of goodwill to procure more of X. As simple as that. Oh my God. All right. So let's do the IV. Question IV also says that suppose all prices double. All prices double. That is price of beta and price of alpha. Suppose they double, and you know double is times 2. Suppose they double, and income is held constant. So your income is still as 100 Ghana cedis, but the price of these two commodities has doubled times 2. Calculate the effect of this on the optimum combination of banana and apple. So here you only multiply this times 2, this times 2. This will give you 16, this will give you 20. So the price of beta or banana that I know to 8 cedis, now it has increased to 16 cedis. And price of alpha, which is apple, that I used to be 10 cedis, now it is 20 Ghana cedis. Do you think I'll consume more? I'll consume less, because the law of demand says that at a higher price, less is consumed, and at a lower price, more is consumed. So we have to calculate. So now, you go back to your demand function for alpha and beta, and you substitute the new prices to determine the quantity David will be consuming. Okay. So let me just, I think I can clean this too. So, IV, we know our demand function for alpha, we know our demand function for beta and alpha. So here, beta now is equal to 2 income over 5 price of beta. Okay? So the income is still the same, 2 bracket to 100 Ghana cedis. All over 5. Now the price of beta has increased to where? To 16 cedis. Okay? And with this one too, what's happening here is that we are going to consume 2.5. Alpha is equal to this the demand function all over 5 price of what? Of alpha. Now the price of alpha has doubled, so I'll have 3, but the income is still the same. All over 5 multiplying 20 because the price has doubled. And here we are also going to consume the weight. So you can see clearly that when the price was what? Was 10 cedis for apple, we were consuming 6. Now look at what we are consuming now. Because the price has doubled, we are consuming less. And look at alpha, banana. We were consuming 5 when the price was what? 8 cedis. But now, because the price has increased to 16 cedis, we are consuming 2.5. So this tells you clearly that when price increases, demand falls. And for David to maintain or still maximize his level of satisfaction or utility, he has to consume 3 and 2.5 or 40 of these both commodities to maintain his level of satisfaction. Let's look at the other one, which is the last one, V. What happens to decreases to 2, whilst the price of apples and income remains the same? So here, what is happening here is that it is price of banana that is decreasing. Price of banana is decreasing, whilst the income and the price of apple is the same. So what happens? You go back to your demand function for alpha. Okay, if price decreases to 2, what will happen? You substitute again to determine what will happen. So here, let me just, let me just clean all this here. Okay. So V, my alpha is still 2 income over 5 price of what? Price of beta. Now they say if the price of beta decreases to 2, what will happen? The income is still the same. So 2 bracket 300 Ghana cedis all over 5 times 2. Okay? Times 2. And here, what is happening is that we are going to consume 20. Can you see? Because the price of banana has decreased. Instead of consuming 5, we are consuming 20. So the new level of satisfaction here is that David is going to consume 20 of what? Banana and what? The previous alpha, which was 6, to maintain his level of what? Satisfaction. And ladies and gentlemen, we have attained our 25 good marks, free of charge. I beseech you to go and solve more examples, and I wish you all the best in the upcoming examination. The name is still the UG7 AB, and when you receive this video, I plead you also share so that we all flourish together. Thank you all. Thank you UG7 teams and Creative Vibe, and thank you all for your support.